such a good girl. Yes, you are. Are you gonna chew on your chewy? Where is your chewy? Where'd it go? Where's your chewy? Oh, did you take it out of the room? Did you? Oh no, there it is. Oh, good. Yeah, you should chew on your chew. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DeHart house. My name is Alicia, and I'm your host of this crafty channel here on YouTube. I am still recovering from a cold. Thank goodness it was just a cold. It was not the flu. It was not COVID. But I did pick up a cold on my travels. So please excuse me. I am a little bit congested, and so my voice sounds like I'm congested, and I have a little bit of a runny nose and stuff, but I do not feel exhausted and tired and all those other symptoms of the cold. So I am a functioning human again, but I still have a little bit of lingering congestion. So welcome to my March Makes video, where I talk about all the things that I crafted in the month of March. March was a pretty busy month, also including me getting sick at the end of the month, which hampered some of my recording schedule. So I apologize for not having something up here on the channel for the past couple of weeks. I traveled to my dear friend's wedding, and on the way back I picked up a cold and then basically was out for like 4 or 5 days, in addition to the 3 days that I was traveling. So it's been a lot. Also during that time was the end of another term. I am a math instructor at a 2-year college, and we finished up a term and we are about to start a new one. So there was a wedding, final exams, and I got sick all at the same time. And I had planned to record a couple of videos for you folks, so I'm playing catch up with the videos. Anyway, despite all of that, the first part of despite all of that, the first part of March was actually quite productive. So I do have three finished objects to share with you and a couple of works in progress. So I'm going to start with the items that I finished. The first thing should not be a surprise because this video is already up on the channel, and that's the towels that I wove. Oh, it's just a fuzzy. Okay. So I wove 2 towels. Here's one. And 2. And yes, they're a weird shape because of how I warped the loom. Totally my fault, not the pattern. And I did sew under my sewing machine the raw edges. Yeah, so these have been washed, used in the kitchen, and washed again. So they have been through a little bit of use before showing them here to you, but they were brand new, fresh off the loom in the feature video. But yeah, they are working quite well. I do like the smaller yarn. So I have woven towels before with more of a like worsted weight cotton yarn, and this is more of a like a DK sport weight kind of yarn. And I like it. It is a drapier towel. It's all cotton, so it's very absorbent. And yeah, I really like them, and I definitely want to weave more towels. The white yarn that I used is my hand spun. So this is hand spun cotton yarn that I spun last year, and I just love it. I absolutely love it. I could have simply done a plain weave with my hand spun here, and it would have been a gorgeous towel. But I was afraid that I would get dreadfully bored and then I wouldn't really have enough yardage. So I added in the blue colors to just give me more interest and more yardage. And certainly I got 2 towels out of it because this is pretty much all blue yarn in the weft there. But yeah, so I finished 2 towels of weaving, and that used up quite a bit of yardage from the stash, so that's fantastic. And I got to pull my loom out of, it's not in storage, it's here in the craft room, but I got to use it. I haven't used it in a while. When my tools sit around unused for a while, I start to question, why do I have that tool if I'm not using it? So it was nice to use it. And I'd like to use it again and make more towels. I think these are fantastic. My second finished object consists of a pair of socks. And so these are knit out of 2 different colors of Patton's Croy sock yarn. The main color, this self-striping yarn, is called Magic Stripes, if I remember correctly. And then for the heels, I use this contrast color. This is Gray Marl. So I used my Elevation Socks pattern, which I'm, again, busy month. I'm still working on updating that pattern. So I'm going through patterns I've already published and giving some of the older ones some updates. So including things like the formatting, because I've tried out different formatting over the years and I like to get my patterns to be more consistent. And also making any necessary updates to the pattern, including language, explanations, sizes, what have you. So this is a free pattern on Ravelry. It's called Elevation Socks. It will remain a free pattern on Ravelry, but in its current state, I only have one size written for this pattern. And so as a part of the update, I will be including more sizes. So yeah, so I reknit the pattern to get familiar with it again in order to do that. And now that these have been sitting around for a few weeks, I might have to knit it again. But that will not be a problem because Michael and I both enjoy ribbed socks as well as other family members. So it features different ribbing. We've got some 1x1 rib, we've got 2x2 rib. Here there's 2x2 rib down the front middle section. And so it carries that ribbing down the top of the foot, and it just means that the sock has that elasticity and it fits really well around someone's foot and around someone's ankle. So yeah, so these are going to be a gift for a family member, probably for Christmas. So I'm not going to say who they're for, but they will get set aside into the gift box. And my third finished object is another pair of socks. Yes, another pair of socks. So this pair of socks is made out of some hand spun of mine, and this will be the next feature video that shows up on the channel. So I will talk about these socks and take you through the journey But basically, I took some fiber from my stash, and that fiber in my stash is currently in yarn form. Let me grab one to show you. Like I said, I'll go into more detail in a feature video, so I'll keep it brief here. But I have this yarn that I purchased from Joann's, and it's just a big singles, just a big chunky singles. And so what I did is I took this as fiber and I blended together different colors, because I have 4, 3, 7, 9 different colors. And you can see I took 4 of them here. Yeah, 4 different colors here. And I blended them on my blending board to make rolags to spin up self-striping yarn. And then out of that self-striping yarn, knit up socks. And I have done that. So what's nice is that you can see the similar stripe sequence on these socks, but they are in no way exact matches, which adds to the character and charm of these socks. So yeah, I also spun up some of the gray as just a solid color, and I used it on the toes on both socks, but then I ran out. So my intention was to do toes and heels on both socks, but I ran out and I just didn't feel like spinning more, especially since I still had more. Look at what's left over of my self-striping. I almost feel like I shouldn't have done this heel gray on the first sock, but that's fine. But I do have some yarn left over of the self-striping. So what I did is on the second sock, as you can see, I just knit it in the self-striping instead of adding in a contrast color. And I know they don't match, and it might bother me a little bit, but I'm okay with it. So these are going to be worn and washed, and I'm going to be trying out this fiber and construction to see how it wears. This fiber is let's see, what is it made out of? It's 50% superwash wool, so I should be able to put it in the washing machine, and 50% premium acrylic, right? So I just thought it screamed I would be okay for socks, right? So yeah, it's a 3-ply yarn, which should be pretty sturdy already, superwash wool and acrylic. So I am going to wear these, wash these in the washing machine like I do on my other socks. All my Patons Croy socks that I've made hold up so well to all of the wear and tear that we put on them, the washing machine and all of that. And so what I'm looking for is, can this in some comparable way hold up in a similar fashion? So I'm going to be trying that out before I make more socks out of this, because I'd really like to know how they behave first. So that's the plan. So I thought, well, I'll just leave that, use this on the heel, and just, these are basically a trial pair of socks I got to try out using my blending board after a while of not using it. Another tool I haven't used in a while. Spinning for stripes, chain plying on my wheel, which is not something I do very often. So I got to do a lot of things that I either haven't done in a while or I haven't done at all. And so it was just a very fun project. And considering all of those things, you guys, I have a finished pair of socks that fit. I mean, and they actually look pretty nice. So all those things considered, I'm very delighted with the results. So yeah, so these are for me. They're my trial pair. I'm going to be using and abusing them and just seeing how they hold up. So I have a couple of works in progress I want to share with you. One of them is knitting and one of them is spinning. So for the knitting, I started a garment in the month of March, and this garment is actually not a top. It is not a sweater, it is not a cardigan, it is not a vest, it is a bottom. So knitting, you know, pants and shorts and skirts, I haven't done any of that. So this will be my first pair. A lot of firsts going on this year. And I've been crafting for a long time, but I have not made myself a bottom garment out of yarn. So I cast on a skirt. So I am knitting a skirt, and oh gosh, I really hope it turns out because I'm really liking it so far. So the pattern is called Lottie Skirt, and I'll put the name of the pattern and the designer's name up here as well on the screen. It is free pattern available on Ravelry, and the pattern calls for a cotton, I think it's cotton polyester blend yarn from Hobby. It was designed for Hobby, the company. And oddly enough, I'm using yarn that I bought from Hobby, but it's not Hobby brand, which is kind of funny. But I am using some cotton. Is it a? No, it is a cotton blend. This one's 100%. Okay, so one of these is 100% cotton. That's this one. And this one is cotton acrylic. Here. So I do have 2 balls of cotton in the same colorway, but the yardage is less than if I used these 2 balls. So what I decided to do is the same thing I did in my baby blankets, is I decided to stripe these 2. So every other round, I'm switching back and forth between these 2. So I'm starting with the lighter color, which is in the middle of the ball. I would not normally pull from the middle of the ball, but that's where the lighter color is, and I'm just going with it. And when this starts to collapse and become a tangled mess, I will deal with it. And it will. Oh my God, will it? Because this yarn, let me show you, this yarn does not have twist to it. This yarn is 4 plies, and there's no twist. I don't know if you can see that. There are 4 plies in there, and they're just there. So it is very splitty. Okay. I do have to watch my knitting because a few times I have missed one of the plies and there's this awkward string hanging in the back of my work, and so I'll tink back a couple of stitches and then re-knit them. So while it's literally just knitting in the round stockinette stitch, very potato chippy, because the yarn is constructed the way it is, I do actually have to pay attention. But here's the progress so far. Hang on, yarn management. Okay. See, it looks pretty nice. So the cast on edge is the top of the skirt, and what I did is I I did a twisted German cast on, which is a type of long tail cast on. It's my favorite. And I used both yarns to do the cast on. So the very cast on edge is in the blue, and then the active stitches are in the gray. And then that way I didn't have to judge how long the tail should have to be. And so what you do is you knit a certain amount, then you do a purl ridge. And so what this is going to do is fold over, just like that. Okay, I'm showing you the inside of the skirt, the wrong side. And so in this fold will go an elastic band, and then I will seam it in. So there will be elastic at the top of the skirt, which is great because there ain't no way this cotton is gonna hold it onto my body without it being skin tight. And I just don't fancy wearing a skin tight skirt that I have to constantly be pulling up or pushing down, right? But so it will have that elastic structure at the top of the skirt, which will be very nice. So once I have that folded over and seamed in, I won't have that rolled edge anymore. And so this is the top of the skirt. And so the top has this light blue and gray being striped together. You can see I did some increases here, right? Okay. And so I've made pretty good progress considering this knit is very boring. If it wasn't for the stripes, I would be completely bored. But I got a lot of knitting done while I was a little bit under the weather. And so yeah, it's a good size so far. Certainly not long enough to be a mini skirt yet. It is not going to be a mini skirt in the end. It will be past the knee is what I'm planning. Depending on how much yardage I have. So I have less yardage than what the pattern calls for. However, a couple things. One, I looked at projects on Ravelry, so thank you for those of you who put up project notes and take pictures of you wearing the garment or the intended recipient wearing the garment. It really helps folks like me to see that and read that and take and learn from your experiences. So that's what I did as I read other people's notes, and they did not use as much yardage as the pattern called for. So I was like, okay, there is hope. I don't have to go shopping for more yarn. So I'm rolling with it. So I can see I'm probably going to be fine on my yardage. But I also modified the pattern because my gauge swatch, I did knit with these two at first. I did the striping and everything, and I ripped it back and used it in the project because I'm not sure how close I'm going to be on my yardage. And it's not like I can add the light colors on at the end with the dark, right? So it's got to show up in the beginning. So I don't have the swatch to show you because I've taken it out, but my swatch, my gauge was off from the pattern, so I adjusted it to have less stitches to accommodate for that. I did less stitches and I still got more inches in the cast on than I should have. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I'm rolling with it. I figure if it's got some extra fabric at the top and it's a little bit gathered, it's okay. It's a look we can go for. Yeah, I don't know. It's the first time I've knit a skirt, and I do not work with cotton or cotton blends all that often. So it will be what it will be. The hope is just for kind of a long drapey skirt that I can wear in the warmer months. Something I can wear to work or to church or going out shopping or something. I'm probably going to need to have a slip underneath because I do not like the thought of someone seeing through my skirt and seeing my underwear, right? I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So I think I'll probably wear a slip under this anyway. So even if the fabric is a little bit holey or something, it's gonna be fine. But yeah, so this project is started. I've made lots of progress. I'm pretty happy with it. My last work in progress is a spin. So I, um, of course, want to do more spinning with this. But like I said, I'm going to test out those socks at least a few times before I jump back into that. And so I've been wanting to feed my spindling soul for a while. And I decided to get out my Turkish drop spindle. I love this spindle so much. It's well balanced, it's well crafted, it's beautiful, and it just spins like a dream. I love this tool so much. And I thought about buying more, but then thought, do I really need to have multiple spindles? I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, so I went into my stash and I pulled out a couple of braids. I bought these two together from the same maker last year at a little fiber festival here in Washington. And with spring being here now, it's April 3rd, 2nd. It's April 2nd. Um, these festivals are going to get going again before I know it. And if I see this maker again, I want to know that I love working with the fiber before I buy more. It's beautiful. And I do love working with it, so I would totally buy more from this maker. So I have two colorways here. We have Rambling Rose and Autumn Mist. They both have the same composition. They are 50% alpaca, 50% baby doll South Down wool. So this one is the Rambling Rose, and this one is the Autumn Mist. And I bought them to use together in a project. Some of their colors are similar, but they're different enough that they are two different colorways, right? So these are from Socked In Farm. She's in the Sauk Mountains, S-A-U-K, in Washington. And if I remember correctly, because I spoke with the maker when I was purchasing these, she raises the baby doll sheep. A dream of mine. Anyway, so yeah, the colors are just beautiful. I love it. And I was just feeling the need to use my spindle, so that is what I am doing. This drop spindle is from Jerry Brock Woodworks, and I bought this at a fiber festival in Texas, DFW Fiber Fest, which is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They used to do these in April, but they now do them in September. But yeah, I love the spindle. It, like I said, it's well made. It spins fantastically. So I am currently on the spindle here is the Autumn Mist. So it has some of the greens, blues, purples, reds. But this is the 2nd ounce. So what I'm doing is I've spun on my Turkish spindle before quite a number of yards. And what I tend to do is only put an ounce of yarn on there at a time. Because, you know, the more you add to it, the heavier it gets. And the heavier it gets, you have to consider that when you're drafting your yarn. So I'm limiting myself to 1 ounce on there at a time. Each of those braids is 4 ounces. So I have 8 ounces total that I want to spin. I have already completed 1 ounce. So what I've decided to do to try to keep my interest, because I don't want to get bored, is that the first ounce I'll spin in this colorway, second ounce in the other, third ounce go back, fourth ounce go, right? Okay. So the first ounce is already spun off the spindle. I went ahead and washed it and dried it and skeined it up so that I could show it to you today. I know, I was prepared about something. So here is the first ounce. This is in the Rambling Rose colorway. It is a 3-ply yarn, chain plied. So what I'm doing is I am chain plying this as I go. So this yarn wrapped around here is already plied. These are not singles, this is plied. Right? So when I fill this up and I take it off of the spindle, it is already plied. Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. So I took this off the spindle, I skeined it up, gave it a wash and a dry, and here it is. So it is a bit thicker than I wanted originally. I was going for a fingering weight, but this is, I'm pretty sure, thicker than that, and I don't care. It's beautiful. So the Rambling Rose has these blues and pinks, like dusty rose, purple, trying to think of the name of that blue. It's right at the edge of my tongue. Anyway, it's quite nice, quite lovely. And because it's chain plied, right, just like with the self-striping, is it'll keep those colors together, right? So if as I'm drafting out the fiber, I've got this big old length of blue, and when I chain ply it on itself, now I have this section that's all blue with 3 plies of blue. So it's keeping all those colors together. So my plan is to use the Rambling Rose and the Autumn Mist in a project together. We'll see how much yardage I get to determine what I could possibly make out of it. I'm hoping I'll have enough for a garment. I have a lot of accessories already, so I don't necessarily need. I already have plans for more hats. I have lots of shawls. But what I'd really like are lots of garments to wear. So I don't know if I'll have enough for a full sweater, but possibly a nice vest. We'll see. But I'd like to use the 2 colors together in some kind of stitch pattern that maybe has some slip stitches. Yeah, I don't know. 3 ply is really good for cables. Cables with 2 colors. I don't know. We shall see. But I'm very excited to see how it turns out. So on here, and then here's the rest of the ounce. So I went ahead and tore off 1 ounce of the braid, so I know this is what's going on to the spindle next. You can see the Autumn Mist has lots of these gorgeous burgundy colors, but this one in particular has this little bit of green, and the Rambling Rose doesn't have any green. So that's very pretty to stand out. And this red here, this burgundy, is a little different than the pink that's in here. They're close. They go well together, but they are not the same color. Is that rain or hail hitting my window? It's just rain. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on. I'm kind of going back and forth between, I'll spin a little bit. I almost hit myself in the face. I'll spin a little bit, take a break, then I'll knit a little bit, and I'll just go back and forth between the 2. I did spin this one so fast. I was like, new project, new spin. I'm so excited. And oh my gosh, I'm not thinking about my body when I spin. And this is something we should all be mindful of. But if I'm going to be like this, right arm raised, left hand down, if I'm going to be like this for 8 hours, what is that going to do to my back? What is that going to do to my shoulders? Right? And so I did feel that pain because I don't switch like which hand I draft. It's always my right hand. So I need to think about my body a little bit more when I'm doing some of these crafts. I need to be kind to my joints and my muscles, and so that I'm not, sitting in an awkward position for many, many hours, because it does come back to hurt me later. So I need to be more mindful of that. So if folks have any tips on posture, or um, do you get up and take a walk every so many minutes, or how do you like keep your body in check so that you don't like warp it out of place and then you feel that pain later? I think I'm saying this very poorly, but I think you can probably understand what I'm trying to say, with those ergonomics and whatnot. I would like to now I thought about doing this spin on my support spindle, but I just do not feel confident enough with my support techniques just yet. This spindle spins like a dream supported. A dream, an absolute dream. This spindle, I can't sing praises enough. You guys should get a Jerry Brock spindle. They're just phenomenal. Can't say enough good things. No, I'm not sponsored. But the support spindles I have, I don't know why. I have so much trouble getting them going. But that'll be another spinning project down the road, is to be working on that. This, I really wanted to just make sure I got a good yarn that I could work with. So that meant either using my Turkish spindle or my spinning wheels. And so I went with the Turkish spindle. But yeah, that's what I'm working on. I have put more plants out in the garden because it is now spring. Things are warming up. We're getting more sunny days, less rainy days. And it's just fantastic. But it's still a little too chilly to move everything out. Tomatoes can't go out yet. Peppers can't go out yet. It's still too chilly for them. I'm now realizing I started my tomato plants way too early. Way too early. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. But I did move out kale, broccoli, lettuce, arugula, spinach. So the plants that are more suitable to the cool spring weather, they are now outside in the garden, flourishing. The snow peas popped up, and so they're starting to grow as well. So I'm very excited about that. I am not in a hurry for summer, for 70-degree weather. I'm not in a hurry. I am happy to have spring weather for a few more weeks or a month or whatever, so that those plants don't just bolt and go to seed. The plants I had out there throughout the winter, so I have kale, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. I don't know why I have such a hard time growing broccoli. The broccoli, but those things I've had out there all throughout the winter, they are all bolting. They have started forming their flowers, and there is no stopping them. They are just in flower mode. So I'm cutting out whole plants now. I'm not just like the kale, I was harvesting the leaves a little bit. Now I'm just like, take the whole plant, take off the leaves. I made kale chips before I went on my trip. Oh my God, they were fantastic. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep taking those out. I've got new plants out there in the garden, so we'll get that cycle going. But yeah, the garden is thriving. It's coming to life. I'm very excited to show you that in the middle of this month. The garden is actually going to look like something different this time. I'm very excited about that. But next up on the channel, next week, what you can look for is a feature video about making these socks. So I will take you through the fiber prep, the spinning, as well as the knitting, and it will have its own dedicated video about that process. So until I see you next time, I hope that you stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy your crafts, whatever they may be. Bye.